Sweet. Welcome to the return of Mobile Pod.
Welcome to Mobile Pod, I guess.
What's the wait? What was the last number? We
Oh
we
god.
did we did an episode that we did. So this is episode five. There you go. Mobile Pod
Episode
episode
5.
five coming at you live.
We already had. Wait, we made 4 episodes of Mobile Pod?
We made we made five episodes, but
Okay,
one of them was
so.
episode zero for some reason. We did
Okay.
the first episode was our like lists, like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
our favorite Mecha Boy lists.
Uh huh.
Um, and then we did we did two on
We did a couple on Iron Blooded Orphans. I remember
yeah we
that.
did let's see
I think we pissed off a bunch of those people initially as well.
yeah okay so we did so the first the episode zero was each of our top fives. Then
Uh
we
huh.
did an Iron Blooded Orphans like expectations one
Uh
where
huh.
we watched the trailer and we looked at the mech designs and we saw how we complained about the Barbatos's wasteful design.
That
Then
that's
we did
that's still a big point of complaint for me.
yes it is. Oh, I'm not sure if I peeked just then. Audacity looks spooky. Then we did a beginner's guide to Mecha. Ooh.
Ooh, I don't
Then we
remember
reacted
that.
to Iron Blooded Orphans, and then we reacted to Origin episode two, and that was it. And then my channel died.
Okay, Alan, I'm gonna have to ask you to do something else as well. Can you keep monitoring the chat just in case like something goes terribly wrong, like either my internet
Yeah,
going
I've got
down or.
them.
Okay,
I've got
thank
them up.
you. So we technically have
I've got some people.
two people working the technical side of things.
Yeah, I've got both chats popped up, and
Okay.
yes, people are in agreement about Iron Blooded Orphans and
Okay, good. I'm not alone.
so I will say,
Mm-hmm.
nowadays I am slightly more, I guess, warm to Iron Blooded Orphans than I was back then. But that sort of comes from the second season being a bit better and just being a bit less jaded about it than I was back then.
Yeah, like
So
you're.
I wonder like how I'd feel about this show if this was the one that came out then, with what I like where my head was at with things then, because and also how I would feel about Iron Blooded Orphans now if again if they were switched over, because the more I like think about like some of the elements of Iron Blooded Orphans that I actually really enjoyed, that sort of like a lot of the things that are missing from this show are some of the things that Iron Blooded Orphans actually did pretty well. And so I still think the outside of literally like the some of the Galahad like grunt suits, that most of the mech designs in that show are fucking awful. But
Well, the grunt suits were kind of like the highlight, right? Like anything except for the
yeah,
main suits, like the Barbatos, I think.
I think the Barbatos was, I still
Awful.
don't like it.
Yeah, it's
The
awful.
Goujon remake. I think the Goujon remake might be my least favorite mobile suit design of all time.
Oh god. Like I think
It's
the only
the
non-grunt suit I was okay with was the what was it? The Astaroth Origin. It's like the red one.
yeah the Astaroth origin, which I think was from a fucking manga or side story.
Yeah, it's not even from the actual story.
Right, I think Astaroth origin, the red one, right? Was the yeah
Yeah, it's the red one.
yeah Astaroth origin was from a random fucking side story. The Astaroth was in the show.
Yeah, it's the
The
Astaroth
Astaroth.
and the Astaroth Origin, which is the red one.
But both of the Astaroths weren't actually from the fucking series. I don't think. I might be wrong. I thought the okay, let's get. Apparently, we're starting by talking about mobile suits from I'm Blood Orphans.
Well, it doesn't matter.
I
I mean,
like.
this is like not like actual mobile pop. We're just shooting the shit, I guess.
I know. I know. Maybe it'll come back one day. Uh,
But yeah, it's
kind
like
of.
God, like because you were more charitable with, I guess some of the more recent stuff that's come out of Gundam, right? Because you've always been like, oh yeah, like I enjoyed that, or like I'm okay with that, whatever. Whereas I'm just like I
I guess
fucking
it's
hate
like
this.
You've always been much more critical and negative of things than I have because I'm just like, hey, if I enjoyed it, that's all I need. I think I reached my limit on that with is it Build Divers season 2? I couldn't. That's like I genuinely think that might be my least favorite Gundam thing at this point, including like Victory and Destiny. Like Build Divers season 2 was just so boring, and Build Divers season 1 was alright. Like
Wait,
it,
how do you screw up something like the Build Fighters franchise though? Like it's literally just
I don't.
toys fighting toys.
It literally, it's, but it's. Do you know? Did you assume you never watch Build Divers?
No, maybe like one or
Because
two
Build
episodes.
Divers is instead of them doing the like the put your toy on a thing, and then the toy comes to life through the magic of dingo particles. It was literally like a full dive VR MMO sort of thing where like
Uh huh.
sort of isekai-ish, where they go to like a fantasy world with that's got robots, and the evil one eyes are like these the robots that are like terrorizing this village of furries, and then they have to, and then
Furries?
it's just yeah, there's like a village of like animal people that's being terrorized by like weird zakus and shit, and then the build diver hero people are like fighting them, and it was just nonsense, complete and utter nonsense.
So the toy models or the plumos essentially become like actual Gundams then, or are they still like
No, it's
toys?
really they're still, but it's not. They're nothing. They're like just digital because they're in a video game.
Oh,
They're like it's still like they still do the whole like Gunpla building and like putting their so they sit in a thing with a headset on and they put their model kit down
uh huh.
in on a scanner, but then they all just get then you're just in a video game.
So, okay, for lack of a better term, it's like SAO but with Compla, kind of.
Yeah, essentially, it's a VR MMO setup,
God.
and they make it like esports at a point in like the first season, which and the first season of Build Divers was alright. Like I think it was like much worse than either of the Build Fighters series. I think some people might prefer Build Divers to Build Fighters Try, but I really like Build Fighters Try. I thought it was like just G Gundam with toys. Um, but yeah, it's like that sort of stuff. Like it takes a lot. Like it takes something to be really bad for me to just not enjoy it when it comes to like any mecha stuff nowadays. Like I watched fucking. I haven't seen season 2, but I watched Kekai
Kekai
Sensen.
Sensen?
Yeah, is that what it's called?
Is it like the English version
No,
name
no,
is like
not
really
Kekai
weird,
Sensen.
like
What am I
Blood
thinking?
Blockade Battlefront or something?
No. Okay, no, I was not thinking of Kekai Sensen. That is not a mecha show.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's like a Sunrise mecha show from like last year. So it says how much I care about it. I've fucking forgotten what it's fucking called.
Oh, what a
I swear it's got
what
a
a
similar name
genuine fan of
to
mecha you are.
um, someone will can someone help me out here whilst I frantically Google.
Yeah, yeah. Please, anyone in chat can help us, cause
Yeah,
yeah.
the original Sunrise mecha show from like last year. It had like two
Oh,
seasons.
I think I remember. I think I
Yeah,
yeah I
yeah,
think
yeah.
yeah I have a vague idea of what you're referring to, but I also forgot the name.
Kyokai Senki.
Yes, 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 yes.
There we go.
Yeah,
That sounds a bit like Kekai
yeah,
Sensei.
yeah. Close enough.
Kekai Senki, a MAME warrior on the borderline. I watched the first season of that, and it was like double Zeta
Uh huh.
mixed with like basically it was like the double Zeta sort of setup in that it was like the dude is like a junker, and he was like basically like he worked on like he used like the equivalent of like a mobile worker thing to
Uh huh.
just like get scrap stuff because they would get scrap from military battles and sell it, and then like ended up joining a terrorist group. And so yeah, it's basically like double Zeta introduction to characters, and then sort of Code Geass terrorist, like Code Geass slash double O, like terroristy stuff. And I watched the first season. I thought it was alright. I haven't gotten around to watching the second season yet because it was just like it was
meh.
just the most sort of like 6 out of 10 mecha show you could imagine. Like it was fine. It was like I was enjoying it because it was the first mecha show I'd seen with 2D mechs in God knows how long, and it was just fine. Like it was I enjoyed it, but it was one of those things where it's just like it was not worth watching. Like whereas like shit like Valvrave and fucking Cross Ange were like so fucking stupid and ridiculous that they were just entertaining for pure insanity. And this was just like so vanilla, but it was fine.
Yeah, well, if you're gonna go all out, you might as well do. And I think Valraven, well, we both share mutual, I guess, respect, quote unquote, of Crossange because of just how like utterly don't give a fuck kind of mentality.
Dude, I fucking love Cross Ange. I need to rewatch that show. See if I still hold that opinion in 2022, 2023.
Like,
Because it's like it's just the most ridiculous shit that doesn't fucking care about like who it's offending and just like the brazenness of like the Gundam
oh
Seed
god,
reference,
yes.
Hotel Mula Flag.
Hotel Mulaflaga, like what was it? I think like one of the shields that they what's it the Vilkis were using was like the strike.
Yeah.
And I think Tusk
There's so much.
was basically a clone of Kira because he had like the same
There
hair
was
and eye
like, 'cause
color.
there was the opening.
Oh god, yeah, the opening is basically the same. Oh, gee, can you hear me?
So I just muted to blow my nose. Didn't think that would be a pleasant thing for y'all to listen to.
Oh, okay. Oh, see
Um,
here, Alan has manners. It's good mic manners.
I do. Some
Yeah.
degree.
Like,
We're gonna
I
get
think
it.
one of the best things about Crossange, yeah, I think one of the best things about Crossange though is that if you ask someone to describe who the villain is, the only way to say it is like it's basically a time traveling rapist.
Yeah, it is.
It's like just imagine
He's
like the final villain is basically a time traveling rapist named Embryo. That's like the most backwards thing.
and isn't he like obviously like there's like dragons and shit,
Yep.
and there's like women that transform into dragons. The is it a show called Rondo of Angel and Dragon or something nonsense? Like
Yeah, yeah.
it's like, and then the villains just like got superpowers, but like the heroes are just people in robots.
Yeah, like I think in the very first episode as well, like a baby gets thrown into what is it, a cage or something?
Yes, yes.
A baby gets thrown into a
It's the
cage.
type of-
Yep.
the whole setup,
And
like, if you don't got magic, you're evil, and we'll send you to the evil village.
yep. And I think Angelise, she got thrown into jail, and I think the warden
Yeah,
was
that's
like
not
a
right,
Bayonetta
Bayonetta.
lookalike. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like she was Bayonetta with automail. She was Bayonetta Edward Elric. And
Yep.
she did some things.
And I think she performed like a female version of a prostate exam on her with that mechanical arm. It's like, what in the hell is actually going on?
Pretty funny how there's so fucking little mecha nowadays that we can probably briefly talk about every mecha show that's come out since we last did an episode of Mobile Pod, and it wouldn't take that long. Gundam wise, we've had what? Thunderbolt Thunderbolt 2?
Uh,
Um,
yeah, Bandit Flower?
Bandit Flower.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, which I don't recall. I've only watched that once, and I don't think I liked it as like that.
Yeah, because so much happened in the first movie, and then second movie is kind of like a setup. But they're
It's much like that. I mean, the first Thunderbolt is fucking phenomenal, like
Yeah,
unreal,
for
good.
sure.
Like the best at that point, the best Gundam film until Hathaway came out. Like still probably the best Gundam's ever looked. That film is incredible. Mainly because Hathaway doesn't have, in terms of mecha action, because Hathaway doesn't have that much of it by comparison.
No, it doesn't.
Character focused, but Thunderbolt for pure like 2D mech action is like borderline unrivaled. But yeah, the second one, I just like I don't even I barely remember anything that happened with it. There was some cool like underwater fights. And I remember that it was just like it went into weird like religious nut job shit. Um, right? Like there was some like
I don't even remember,
am I
honestly.
just
Like,
imagining that?
yeah.
I think there was like some sort of weird like religious faction, and it sort of reminded me of the weird bit at the end of Legend of the Galactic Heroes with the weird religious faction, and so that was fine. Um, the less said about Twilight Axis, the better.
I can't even really hate Twilight Access. It's kind of like the redheaded
I just
stepchild.
don't know why it exists.
Yeah,
It's just like
like you can't even hate it.
one of
It's
those
it's
things
like
where
it's like why are you even here? Like you can't even get mad at it. It's like
it's the issue with it is that like when you look at the promotional material for it and the posters and like the fucking trailers, and it looks so good. Like it looks gorgeous. Like it's just like peak UC design, and then it's just like, hey, this is like 4 minutes long. So that was a shame. Um,
yeah, like the director for that, like his designs carried over to NT, and that kind of carried over like I guess my dislike for NT because I thought the character designs in Twilight Access was pretty bad, and that also carried over to NT. Then I was like, okay, I'm gonna be less charitable to you, despite the fact that it's also a movie as well, so less of an excuse.
and I really wanted to love narrative. I like that. That to me is like, I think that's the peak of my like accepting something that isn't as good as I wanted it to be, but still enjoying it thing. Because I did enjoy narrative. I wouldn't say I dislike it, but it's like the general, the entire like plot of that film is nonsense to begin with. Like the soul of this girl stuck in the fucking Phoenix for eternity, floating through space. It had some really cool moments, like the bit where the narrative takes control of the Neo Zeong, and like docks into it. That was fucking awesome. Um,
The only positive
but it's
narrative
like,
for me is just Zoltan, because Zoltan is just like the
yeah,
ultimate, just he's just chaos in a nutshell, and it doesn't really matter who he affects. He just makes everything more fun.
he felt like a fucking like a seed villain,
Yeah,
you know, like you know the
just black and white, just all out, just insane, no complexity whatsoever.
what's the name of is it Operation of the what like all the Gundams in Seed, well, Athron, when like all of the guns are like from Operation something or other. Like he felt like one of those characters that aren't Athron from that group.
Wait, which one?
Um,
Are you talking about the ones that they hijacked, or
yeah, yeah. Like there's just some of those characters
oh, so like
that
the
it
fuck,
reminds me of one of them.
like the duel? I think. I think.
Yeah, like the
Okay.
pilots of those. That's he sort of reminds me like he would fit in there basically.
Wait, Zoltan?
Um, yeah,
Zoltan would fit in
because
like
he's
with
like
the.
they're all like there's like nutters.
No, no, no. He would fit in with
What
the.
am I thinking of?
I think you're thinking of the other
There is a
guys.
group in Seed.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're thinking of like the pseudo, or like the cyber new types of that universe,
Yes,
right?
yes, okay, that's what we're
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
of.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Those guys.
It's
Oh
been
yeah,
so long since I watched it.
yeah. The group that you originally referred to,
The
two
the
completely different.
yeah, very very likely. I haven't watched Seed in a very long time. Um,
You're not missing out.
I mean, it's one of those things like I do want to revisit because I did enjoy it when I watched it, and it's like a, but it's also like if I'm rewatching something that's 50 episodes long,
Hmm.
Gundam Seed is not the first thing on my agenda. I'm going to be honest with you. I rewatched when I was moving into my gaff and I was unpacking all my shit.
Uh
I
huh.
didn't have internet yet. I rewatched all of Guilty Crown and I had a really fucking good time.
Oh my god. Sorry
Just
for your
let that on
loss.
in the background.
Sorry for your
Nah,
loss.
that's the best.
Jesus Christ.
I still fucking love that show. I was just like, yeah, this is the best. It's like this is such nonsense. Just looking
God.
up every now and again and being like, yeah, look at it go. Look how much nonsense is happening in this show.
God.
It's just like it gets to the point of that show where it's like, yeah, this is really kind of cool, and then it's like this guy shows up and he's like, I am the living incarnation of Darth. And I'm like, what? What does that mean?
It's like
Go
yes,
back to
and
Sourdough now, please.
yes, and we are the underground organization known as what was it, the funeral parlors?
It was funeral
Yeah,
parlors.
it's funeral parlors, and I thought that was just like a different fan subgroup calling it that, because other groups called
It
it the
was
Undertakers, but apparently in the
yeah,
official,
yeah. It was
yeah,
the official the dub calls it funeral parlor, but I
God,
think translating it as either is fine.
you use Undertaker
I
sounds
think
so
the
much
Undertakers
cooler.
was the
Like
yeah.
we are the
They
funeral
didn't want
parlors.
they didn't want WWE to copyright strike them.
Is that the actual reason, or is that just speculation from your
No,
end?
that's what we refer to as a joke.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't know. Narrative I watched once, and I'm not rushing to rewatch it. It like one of the biggest letdowns for that film was that like obviously Unicorn looks fucking phenomenal, and I was just expecting this movie to be as like it was a movie. Like I was just like, if this is nothing else besides looking as good as Unicorn, then I'm in. But it just didn't. It just nowhere looked nowhere near as good as Unicorn did visually. Um, and I don't know. It was it came. I think I definitely went in with very high expectations because of how incredible Unicorn is, and it is yeah, it is the
I think I
the
told you beforehand though. It's like, yeah, it looks pretty bad because you watched it after me, and I think I preemptively warned you. It's like, yeah, it kind of looks pretty bad.
yeah. I waited for the because I'd pre-ordered the Blu-ray, and so I waited for that to arrive
Oh,
before
I'm
I
so
watched it.
sorry.
But I mean, I think that was yeah that was the Japanese Blu-ray which I've since sold, and I now have the Anime Limited in the UK have all of the like released all the Gundam shit in like matching boxes. So even though I am not the biggest fan of some of the shows, I'll buy every Gundam thing they do just because it convinces them to make more Gundam, which is why I spent £150 on a Gundam Seed Destiny box set last year.
Oh God, I am doubly sorry.
But it comes with the original series and the remaster.
Wait, so it comes with two dubs then, or
Yeah, it comes with yeah, it's got the entire original version and the entire HD remaster with like the dubs and everything for both.
yeah, because
Uh,
yeah, okay, so apparently, in like the remastered dub, some character names are spelled or pronounced a little bit differently. Like Lacus is pronounced Lacus, and like
Lacus.
yeah, Lacus. I shit you not. And I had to do like a brief double take. It's like, well, hang on, is this a new character I'm not aware of? Like, hang on,
Hello, it's me, Lacus Clean.
yeah, Lacus Klein. I'm like, what? But yeah, like speaking of Seed though,
Lacus of the Rebellion.
oh God. But speaking of Seed though, like, so the weird thing is, I think if you were to put a gun to my head, I would rather watch Seed than Witch from Mercury. That's a bit of a hot take, but Seed is so watchable, even though despite how bad it is. Like,
We're talking so it's just Seed, not Destiny.
yeah, Seed, not Destiny.
Yeah.
Like, even though I dislike Seed, it has such great rewatch value. Like
Yeah,
just the way how
Seed is
everything is
so
set up.
Seed is so easily it's like simple and like just it's yeah it's not the best. There's a lot of issues with Seed, but it's very inoffensive, which is why I still think it's one of the best sort of. There's more options now, but why I said like way back when that it was like potentially one of the best ways to get into Gundam because it was just it's like UC. It's like
Well,
digest. It is literally like a sort of a retelling, like a remaster of the like random plot points of UC in one show, designed to get in new people, and it's yeah, it's fine. Like it's I definitely enjoyed it a lot when I watched it. and I've still only seen it the one time, and I don't know how much I would change my opinion on it now. And I'm not sure if I'd agree with you on that, simply because I don't know where Witch from Mercury is going. And I think it could easily end up being really good, and
Mm.
it could easily end up being really bad. But when I was sort of thinking about this, I this is the first time we've had a proper flagship Gundam show that actually did have a chunk, a series that ended on just 12 episodes, which is
Probably.
kind of crazy. Because
It's the
Gundam
only
doesn't really
flagship,
Gun.
right? To end on 12
Yeah,
episodes.
because prior to that, because like yeah, Double O and Iron Blooded Orphans were split into two chunks of 25.
Yep.
I think Age aired the entire 50 at once.
Yep.
G-Reco had its first half and then didn't get any more, sadly.
Was Jirago actually cancelled, or was it just meant to stop at 26 episodes?
I think it's like it wasn't cancelled, but I think there was definitely room in that world for a continuation, and it probably would have gotten one if it was more popular. I
Maybe.
can't say
But
for sure. I'd have to look into it.
Jirago, like, I'm kind of reluctant to even say it's a flagship series because it's basically its own creature, you could
Yeah,
say.
but it's definitely still counts as a flagship kind of series. Like it's an original story. It's about like it's set in a world like that. The only things that aren't like flagship series are things like Build Fighters and that, and movies and OVAs
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. Yeah, I basically like I got into thinking like yeah, we've had 12 episodes of G-Witch, and then I thought about like okay, some of my favorite Gundam shows at that episode 12 mark. How do I feel about them? And it's like there's it's really strange that it's like it's got this 12 episode chunk, and yeah, I think back about like go back to Iron Blooded Orphans, and just how like as much as I don't Iron Blooded Orphans is absolutely not close to being one of my favorite Gundam shows. It does hit the ground running, and it does like really like it doesn't fuck about in getting shit going and being like here's what's going on. They fucking do their big like kill all the grown up shit in like episode 3. Like they're in space by like episode 6 maybe. Don't quote me on like I'm not this I haven't exactly got the exact episodes that these things have, but it does go pretty fucking
It goes pretty ham.
quickly.
Yeah. Like, I hate Iron Blooded Orphans, but at least, like, I'm willing to admit that it goes pretty ham pretty early on. But Witch from Mercury, it takes its own time, but it doesn't really have the luxury of doing so because it's been confirmed that what 24, 25 episodes is only going to be released until I don't know, unless something happens or something.
I don't know.
Yeah.
With how they've set things up, if this is just going to be 2 seasons, that's like I don't think they can like fully capitalize on this story in just 12 more episodes, just because they spent like basically like I don't know. I feel like they spent like episode 0 introduced the concepts, introduced like the Gund system, like why Gundams are illegal because of that. Introduced like some of the corporate politics things behind, and I really like episode 0 sort of introduces every concept that then and then they sort of reiterate those concepts throughout the next sort of 10 episodes, being like, okay, so in this battle we're going to show this person using the gun system and it affecting them badly, and his this thing. It felt like a lot of the fucking school shit in G-Witch felt like the Gundam equivalent of fucking Shokugeki no Soma. Right.
Yeah. But it's also kind of sad though.
We have a disagreement. Now let's do a Shokugeki to decide who wins.
But it's also kind of sad though because I feel like the prologue done so much within what 30 40 minutes. Meanwhile, like the actual meat of the series, it took them I want to say like 5 or 6 episodes before it really starts kicking things off. So it's like time wasted, and now you're hinging all of that hype and anticipation onto the second season. Yeah, and as you said earlier, based on what they want to explore and like and what they want to get done, I highly doubt that they're gonna do that, or they're gonna be able to do that within 12 episodes.
It's hard to say because there's all manner of ways that they could do things because again what episode 12 showed was how quickly they can flip the switch and how quickly they can be like, okay, done with that, here's the new tone, here's what we're doing now. Because I don't know, like throughout the as like I'm fully in agreement. I think episode 0 was phenomenal. Like I watched that and I was like, okay, I'm in. Like this is great. This is such a good introduction to like what they're doing. Like, yep, okay, here's your new types. Here's what we're calling new types now. Here's the general sort of backbone of the plot, and then it's just like, okay, so it's a we're not like we're not a war, we're not an actual like there's not a big like political war, but there's all these companies. You want to use
Well,
medical technology.
It's still like, kind of political, I would argue, but
it is yeah it's no but it's corporate politics rather than government politics and war politics, and it is a different spin on it in that regard.
well, like well, conversely though, like those giant corporations are kind of involved in government because they're so big, so they kind of it's kind of like Anaheim Electronics in a sense, but
yeah, it is. But but the thing is that we're seeing that level that side of it, and we haven't really met much in the way of like actual government and war stuff. And the key thing behind that I fucking realized is I don't think in the entire season you see a single adult piloting a mobile suit.
No.
Outside of episode 0.
No, no. What Gwell's dad count?
Yeah, that counts. I guess there are a couple of people in that final fight,
Yeah.
But the people it's focusing on are like the crazy gunned girls, with their big laser beams.
And and Elan, or however you say his name.
Yeah, Gwell, absolutely my favorite character of the show. I just think that of everyone, he had the most actual like development and like a more complete character arc.
Yep,
and it was very sort of like, I don't know, cliched to a degree of him being like, okay, here's like the school bully, sort of, here's like the Giga Chad ace that's like the guy that things are hinging on. It's like, oh no, but he's actually not the best. And then like just the scene at the end of him like having his killing his own dad moment was pretty fucking cool.
Oh, you're talking about Quill now, right?
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because we went from Elan to like, so wait a minute, Elan has a dad?
I know. Elan's definitely not my favorite character in the show.
Okay, good.
Elan's no. Elan was he filled the cyber new type role.
Well, his body double.
Yeah, that's he's sort of got that Rei Ayanami thing going on.
Okay, so what confused me is that so there are multiple copies of Elan. So the one that was like the Rei Ayanami number 2, so like the shy sympathetic one. So that one was number 4. And then the real Elan shows up in the Silicon Valley episode, right?
Think so?
Yep. And apparently, so according to what several people told me, apparently after that, there's Elan number 5. And that confused me because I have always thought it was the real Elan just doing his own thing now.
I wouldn't be able to tell you how many Elans we see. But do we potentially see more Elans in this series than we see LP Purdue clones in the entirety of Universal Century? Which means hopefully Elan will turn into Merida Cruz eventually and be amazing.
And I don't think Elan. You're being way too charitable and too optimistic.
His surname is Keresu, which
yes,
sort of sounds like Cruz.
Cruz. Well, you're doing a little bit of reaching over there. I would argue you're reaching a little bit too far there, my dude.
Hey man. Merida Cruz doesn't look that much like the other Perus, you know. There could be a visual difference making it happen. But yeah, back to Guel. Like as I said, like the sort of beats in his story arc aren't exactly there's nothing groundbreaking there, right? Like
No.
he starts off as a dickhead, he gets humbled, and then like he sort of realizes that like yeah, don't want to look up to this position because the whole sort of I guess theme of like a lot of the character interactions are just like how these children are being or like sort of trying to live up to the positions their parents are in. So you've got
Yeah, being basically groomed to take over their family business, essentially.
yeah, like Mirion's relationship with her dad, Soletta's relationship with her mum, and Goel's relationship with his dad, and like being sort of the like having this need to sort of fill that role that he feels like he wants to, and then just like I feel like his character just did that had that whole arc where he grew and developed and changed and then had this big payoff for it where like he does and I thought that scene was so well done because I legitimately did not see that coming. It was like yeah, okay, he's just fucking killed his dad because that whole situation was just like yeah, I'm trying to escape in an enemy mobile suit but we have no comms so I can't say that I'm an ally. And in defending himself he does that and it's like that was a brilliant scene. And that's why I thought episode 12 was great in general. For the most part, there's some very shaky, like rushed writing in there, but for the most part, I think it's that episode that makes me excited for what's to come. But it just took a long time to get to that point, and I just feel like just a lot of the stuff in school just felt so inconsequential at sort of pushing the world forward.
Okay. So what
even though it was aiming to sort of introduce you to the characters that are going to be important and some of the character relationships. And the issue there is that I'm not particularly invested in the two main characters in the slightest.
Yeah, because what I'm kind of confused about, like the school and like the mobile suit duel setting, is that technically, if you are being groomed to take over like the family corporation, like the family business, and Guel essentially got kicked out of that main branch because he's lost too many duels. So how would how would a mobile suit duel determine like how effective you are to lead a mega corporation? Like that's what I'm kind of confused about. Like I guess the closest you could say is that okay, mobile suit dueling is kind of like sports, but it's like okay, but at least in sports you kind of see like what position they do, like what kind of leadership role that they'll do. Like if they showed like that fight between Shadiq and the Gundam guys.
Yes.
So if they showed more of that instead of like just specs of the mobile suit do better, or like actually showing like leadership qualities of Guel, I think that would have been more apt. Like it would have been more effective into showing why duels are like so highly valued. Because to me it kind of sounds like an elaborate version of a street fight.
The reason that the way I see it is that this is it's heavily sort of based on like how like Japanese company politics work, and it sort of works. Generally things work in a different way to how businesses do over here, and the image of the company is so important, and so having like the son of your like CEO in a machine that your company created, them losing is a huge hit to like the reputation of that company and like the stockholders of that company. It's literally, think of it in the same way of just like a company released like when fucking Samsung released that phone that exploded. It's just like, they've got this Gundam person who's meant to be an ace pilot,
right in the shot at the Korean. Good job.
They lose 3 times in a row, and so that's such a bad sort of public image for that company, and that's sort of just how the corporate politics of this are presented. It is all about image. It's not about, because yeah, in a practical sense, him having a one-on-one duel in a controlled environment it doesn't mean anything. Like it legitimately doesn't have any impact on how good he'll be at running a company and how good he'll be at doing like his future job in there. But in terms of the image of the company, it's huge, and that's all that matters in at that level. I think that's why it works.
Because what because what's also confusing is if image it's well like you bring up image, but also conversely it's shouldn't the spec or shouldn't like the company itself like the R&D team, the manufacturing team, like they should be the ones will be on that rope. It's not really the fault of the pilot in this case, because well, that's kind of leading to another problem. It's like the aerial seems like way too overspec for its own good, but that's also probably because it's a Gundam. But you don't really see much of like, despite it being like a mechanical or like a mecha company, there's not too much focus on that, ironically. Or am I just
Well,
going off on
yeah,
like multiple
on the
tangents?
company, on the company that Celeste's mum works for that made the aerial.
What was that?
As you the company you're referring to the company that Celeste's mum's from that made the aerial.
No, it's not just It's not just Prospera's company. It's like pretty much every company. So I would assume like they will be like more on the line if they're creating like inferior mecha than not the actual sun.
Yeah, I think I would like to hope that that's more of a direction that they go into because it is about, especially just seeing as they fucking made a company and that was sort of a let's band the children together. We're the Kickstarter and we're going to make Gundams even though Gundams are illegal. Please give us your money on my Indiegogo Gundam. Um, but yeah, I think that that is something that would have been better to see a focus on, but I don't know how they would have fit it in because of the setting was the school and the setting was the pilots, and the setting and it was presented with these characters and sort of this dick waving contest, and I think it's like going back to that. I was like, yes, absolutely, it is more on the back of the mechanics, the people making the mobile suits, rather than on the individual pilots. But they do that whole thing where like so that, like literally the thing they say ad nauseum at the start of every fight, where it's just like it is a battle is not decided by the specs of the machine alone, and is not decided by the strengths of the pilot alone either. But I think from the company perspective, they'd be like, well, we're going to blame this on the pilot because it can't be our machine, which is why they took the machine. They took I don't know what it's called, the red thing that Guel pilots. Is it the
The Princess Cornelia
Darrell?
horrible rendition.
No,
Oh god.
that's the first one. The one that he's the red one. He's the Darrell Ball Day. Not the Cornelia machine. Um, so yeah, I think like them being like, yeah, okay, we're going to take this away from you because you're not good enough for the machine. That's them going. That's their copium, you know. That's them saying like them doing damage control, trying to be like, no, please still please still look at us in a good light in the public image. We're still an amazing mobile suit maker, people, dudes, whatever you want to call it. It's the pilot's fault, and I think that's why they did it like that. And I think to me it does work to some degree.
Well, yeah, because okay, because to me, like that Silicon Valley episode kind of opened up a can of worms as to how many things can go wrong just from a writing perspective. Like, would you agree with that, or
The like
the episode where Miorine just says,
second episode, yeah.
I'm gonna start a company,"
Yeah,
because apparently
that
because
was my
yeah, because sorry, because apparently because Miorine, the daughter of what's his face, Delling. Anyway,
the daughter of Murine's dad.
yeah, the yeah,
Delling
Delling,
Rembrandt.
yeah, because the daughter of Delling
Venerit group.
basically wants to create a Vanadis Institute 2.0. Now it's fine, despite the fact that the Vanadis Institute tried to do the exact same thing that Miorine was trying to do, and instead they killed a bunch of people, which led to Prospera and a bunch of people getting displaced. So that's kind of weird how they just seemingly glossed over that. Is it because like, oh, Mjorn, a fellow space person, is establishing it? I guess it's Gundams are okay now.
The leap in logic in that section was just like I just didn't get it. Like I didn't. I was like when she like first stood on stage and was like, "Please, like here's my comp. I'll make a. You know what? If Gundams are illegal and my friend is gonna go to jail because she piloted a Gundam, then I'm gonna make Gundams legal by making them better." And I was just the entire I don't know. It was just so unbelievable. It was like the worst Shark Tank episode I've ever seen. And I think that episode could be justified in some ways. I think if they'd presented it in a way where, let's say, it would have taken a bit more of a setup, and I think that would have been potentially better, is if they did it so Soletta does get taken in, Soletta does get arrested, Soletta's in prison or whatever, and they do like a
Yeah, like
trial thing. There was a little trial room. They did that, and then
yeah, because
Miriam,
Soletta's
okay, how
mom.
do
Yeah,
I
the same
fix
thing
this?
happened to Soletta's mom, right?
Yeah, like so
Yeah.
have that happen, and then have Miriam be like in talking to people, and then come up with this plan to make a company like in
Yes.
advance,
Yes.
and then present it as opposed to literally like completely off the cuff, running on stage, throwing her phone in the air. It was just like, how could this possibly? How could anyone in that room possibly think, "Yep, yeah, I'm going to give this money. Like I'm going to," because this is again, it's a business, and people are so, and with how they presented the perspective this world has on these companies on its concept of business, it just doesn't seem like a good business decision to give money
Well,
to a
one,
child.
yeah, it's that, and you're not giving away like $1 million or $2. You're giving a like their goal was what 240 million or something.
Before we move on, someone's asked, they're curious what AU Gundams we actually like. Are we also part of the UC purists? We're not UC
No,
purists.
no.
Um, I so AU, I really like, and Suan's gonna dip in and say I hate that one. I really like G Gundam. I really like Turn A, even though you could say that counts as UC to some degree. I think Seed's all right. It's not my favorite. We had that conversation earlier. We both really like Double O.
Uh huh.
I have a pretty large soft spot for Age. I think it's a very comfy and silly, goofy show that I find enjoyable. I absolutely adore Build Fighters and Build Fighters Try. Um,
Everything that
I'm
follows
fairly neutral
after
on Wing.
you don't.
Yeah, like Wing is one I'm fairly neutral on. I have no nostalgia for it, like a lot of people do. I watched it. I literally like. I had not seen a single Gundam thing, and when I got into Gundam, I literally watched everything in order from the beginning. And Wing, I enjoyed, but it's not one of my favorites. X is fine. I'm not rushing to rewatch X, but it was okay. And then yeah, we've talked about Iron Blooded Orphans a decent amount. And
Yeah, like
I'm definitely not on nothing, not a UC purist, because there's plenty of dog shit in UC as well, particularly Victory. But we won't get.
well, there's NT, Twilight Access, but there's no real point really making fun of Twilight Access because there's not enough
Yeah,
content to begin with.
we've been through those. But
Yeah.
anyway, what point were we on? Yeah, I think that episode, if they had just given it a bit more breathing room, I think that would have been to me a better way to lead into the kids starting a company, is for them to like actually do a plan. It would do a lot to make Mirion seem intelligent, like more intelligent than impulsive, because she's sort of meant to be. She's like she's literally in the school in like the she's like in strategy or something.
Like yeah, like business
And also just
communications or
like
something.
it also didn't seem like it was on brand for her dad, because he did seem was presented to just be this like hard nut business cunt.
Well,
And
I
like
think that was a
him
good
just like
moment though, because like Miorene's dad just taking a moment of pity and actually investing in her business. I think that kind of humanized him
yeah
because prior to that, like only really seen like the perspective of Miorine just going, I hate dad, like I'd rather kill myself than be engaged to Patrick Sour 2.0, that kind of thing. But him investing in Miorine's business in a moment of vulnerability, even though he really didn't have a need to, like that,
Yeah.
that was like a good fatherly moment. And him actually like grilling her is like, oh yeah, is payroll taken care of, are you making sure like quarterly reports are coming in, like that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, like he does care, even though he might be a complete backwards hard ass at times, like. And then Miorine just attempted to escape from school one more time after getting the initial funding from her dad.
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
could
you cunt.
I could agree with that.
Yeah.
Um, I just in general just am, especially as like they did that, and then the next episode. I'm not sure if it was the next episode or like the same episode towards the end, where they just sat in a room and they're like, "Okay, so we're starting a company now. How the fuck do we do that?" And I was just like, "Come on."
It's like, what, 240 million just hanging above your head, no
Yeah.
big deal.
See that right there. That's the point where I drew a comparison to Iron Blooded Orphans, and where I thought favorably in regards to Iron Blooded Orphans, because I was like, some of the stuff in Iron Blooded Orphans in regards to them funding their company, because they were doing it like in actually as a like as good as they could have done, but like because they were in such a horrible situation. They were like they were doing it because they had to, and then they were trusting like really dodgy people because they had to, like to get funding and to get advice and to sort of run things. And I thought back to some of the scenes in Iron Blooded Orphans where they're like, okay, how are we doing this? How are we keeping ourselves afloat as this like obviously completely different. Like they're not they were like
Well, it's not like they had a small loan of
mercenaries.
240 million dollars.
Yeah, like they were a band of mercenaries, and this is a company trying to make Gundams for make Gundams for hospitals. It's another. Yes, the technology's good for medicine, but they're just like, hey, I'm not sure how I can. That's also a bit of a leap, right? Where they're like, we want to use the Gund technology to make medicine and stuff for hospitals.
Yeah, but then yeah, like
Still
that
think,
technology somehow
but then
manifested.
still
It just manifested into a Gundam.
that doesn't make it suddenly okay that Soletta's piloting a like ridiculous fucking strike freedom level war machine.
Yeah, she can apparently use the funnels. Apparently like from the very first episode. Like, because I thought the funnels require a lot of spatial awareness is one thing, but it requires a very apt amount of piloting skills, to say the least.
Well, that I don't have any issue with, because it's established because of episode 0 that she's literally piloted this thing since she was a baby. So her being like ridiculous ace pilot, she sees the Gundam as a fucking family member. Her being really, really, really good at doing the Gundam new type shit, I have no issue with, because it is literally presented that yes, she has literally sat in this robot since she was born. And if assuming obviously everything in Gundam is just like, here is a different word for the same type of thing. Like this is the Gund system is their version of like how what new types are. We've had coordinators. We've had the Alaya Vijnana system. We've had
X-rounders.
Age X-rounders.
Yep.
X-rounders.
X-rounders.
This is that version of that. And if it works, I'm assuming that the funnels would work it's basically the same way as like the Psycho system from Unicorn and Shah's counterattack. And it's like, yeah, that's sort of a mental thing where even if she had practiced in active combat before, like her being mentally in tune with the suit is what's going to make her much better at controlling them than she otherwise would be. So I don't have an issue with her being like an ace pilot from the get-go.
But it's like a baby though, like a literal 4-year-old.
Yeah, but she.
It's like a little four. If it was a 4-year-old that accidentally like pressed the wrong button and killed like 3 people, then it's like, yeah, that's understandable. But it's like,
oh, are you talking about criticizing in episode 0 where she's doing it?
yeah, because she's been piloting since she was
a bit silly. Yeah, I mean that's obviously, to be fair, it's been a much longer since I watched the the show itself fairly recently, and I watched episode 0 when it came out. But yeah, that was odd. But I sort of felt it was just like
Like
because
if it may,
she wasn't doing it consciously, obviously, which sort of is introducing
Mama.
how the system works to a degree. It's like, look at the pretty lights, I want to make the laser beams go wookie wook.
Like maybe if the mom was helping out, like okay, maybe Soletta was just pushing a button or something, and then the funnel just happened to activate and just kill 3, 4 people randomly. But, eh. But special shout out to Prospera, probably being one of the maybe not the worst, but kind of baffling as a parent. Because
Yeah, she was very strange.
yeah, it's like because like they make her out to be like this like grand 40 chess master, but then like the way that she treats her daughter in the main series compared to the prologue is like absolutely baffling. Because remember like when knowledge comes out that the Ariel is indeed a Gundam, to no one's surprise.
Yeah.
And then Prospera meets with Soletta Mjornin, and then Soletta goes, "Mom, like, is it true the Ariel is a Gundam?" And then Prospera's like, "Yeah, it's a Gundam, all right." And then Soletta's like, "Oh,"
It sure is.
and then nothing happens from it. Like, if I were her,
It's not even that. It's like she's literally like she says something along the lines of why does everyone think that Ariel's a Gundam? And she's like, because it's a Gundam.
and then Soletta doesn't even question that logic. It's like, I don't know if I were you, but if my mom lied to me for like 10 plus years that I've been piloting something that's highly illegal and that I can get imprisoned in, I'd be doubtful at the very least. And then but she's like, "No, okay."
I think the ridiculous shift between like how her mother is presented in episode 0 as like a loving parent compared to how she's presented in the series is interesting because it's room for like she's clearly really fucking suspicious, right? There's clearly a lot of shit we don't know about her yet, and I think that's a lot of that will be explained in terms of just like why like who the fuck is she, what the hell is she doing at this point, like because she's obviously got ridiculous ulterior motives. I mean, she's the one wearing the mask, right? She's the Shah now, like she's in that role to some degree. She's the only person they've given a mask to, so she has to be something important in that sort of role in the story. But I think like her relationship with Soletta is really the only way you
Weird.
can kind of try and justify like Soletta's ridiculous shift in attitude in episode 12, where you have the cliched scene that has to be like I never complain about being in mecha shows, even though it's in every mecha show of the but you're killing people. Oh my god, there's people that you're killing. What you doing that for? Oh no, there's blood soup everywhere. So
Can't forget
before.
can't forget before she boarded the Ariels. Like Soletta's mom just came out of nowhere and be like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah, Soletta. There are some people who are bad and they want to kill you. So get in that area." She doesn't even try and help her. It's like she just leaves her there. It's like, oh yeah, she can get to the Ariel by herself, which kind of leads me to the belief that Soletta is not like the daughter, maybe like a clone of the mom. Because that would justify so many things. Like that's like the only theory I could really accept from which for Mercury that would be somewhat plausible.
Which one of the rebuild films is it where Gendo Ikari starts wearing a weird mask?
Oh,
reminds me of that
3.0.
Yeah, where he's just like got a fucking mask on.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's I think I thought Prospero was very interesting just because I was like I was curious about where she would go. Whereas a lot of the characters are very face value. A lot of very like, yep, this is what they're doing. They're kids, and I feel like at any point I was grasping for adult characters in this show because, as I said, like there were basically no adult mecha pilots, and I think the sort of perspective of the like Gundam is built on is this like naive perspective on war, and then being broken down by being around adults who understand war, and that's where the whole oh my god I'm killing people scene always comes from. In this show, the oh my god I'm killing people scene was her seeing her mother slaughter people, and then her mother quickly went like, here's some logic, if I didn't kill them they'd have killed you, and I'd rather they died than you. And then she's like, oh, fair enough. And then the next scene, she fucking like soups someone, and is smiling about
She
it.
doesn't even question it.
It's I feel like that rapid shift is like very hard to justify from a writing perspective, but at the same time, like I'm like that scene at the end made me very very excited for the next season, because I'm just like, okay, what if Soletta is just like flipped at this point and she's like, okay, mummy says this is okay, and so that means it's okay because she's just like following that, and so she's like, I will kill people, I don't care about people dying because mummy said I'm allowed to kill people.
Yeah,
And I
well,
think,
yeah,
like,
that's why the theory of being a clone might be more
yeah,
plausible. Because if she was like a daughter, then I would assume like a daughter or like someone's or a child would have like more sentient thought, or at least have some doubt as to what's going on.
but it depends on like upbringing, because she very blindly and very sort of like, she obviously has ridiculous amounts of just like love and respect and like blind following of everything her mother says, and it's like she doesn't question anything from her mum at any point, and it's very clear that their relationship is something we don't actually know heaps about. So it was a very weird shift, and I think it sort of depends. Like maybe literally the second after that happens in the like at the start of episode 1 of the next season, she's gonna go, oh shit, I'm covered in blood, oh no, or she's gonna be completely like desensitized to it, because I don't know, anything to me to make Soletta more interesting, because currently she was not a particularly compelling lead. It was nice
Soletta
to have
is
someone.
the weakest character in Witch from Mercury, which is kind of
Yeah,
worrying because, she's the main character. Like the others are
yeah,
caring for her.
she has potential, but I think just sort of the, I don't know, the naive, like blind, just joy, and like again, it was for a little bit, it was refreshing, because it was like, yeah, this is this is new, this feels very new and different compared to previous protagonists. And I enjoyed that for that sense, but then just she almost felt like fucking okay, might be a bit of a silly comparison, but in the way that in like any time, like particularly when she was dealing with the whichever Ellen she was fighting, in whichever number Ellen that was, I don't remember.
Yeah, number 4.
Where she literally does the fucking Naruto thing, where she's just like, we're fighting to this, I'm gonna talk you, I'm gonna talk to you and make you on my level.
I'm gonna give you your own birthday.
Yeah, I'm gonna make you. I'm going to make you use like undo Edo Tensei for me, please. I'm gonna make you bring everyone back to life for me. I'm gonna like put you in this position where you agree with my values now, because I am very very sort of presenting a utopian view on this situation.
It's not a dumb comparison because Ellen is basically Sasuke if you think about it. So you see, like very disturbed, has his own goal that maybe involves revenge of some sort. Gets mad at Soletta because they realize that they're much different than initially thought.
In general, I'm cautiously optimistic about where it goes from here. I enjoyed the show in general. I would say that I was entertained, and towards the end, it got to like episode 10. Like literally, I was just like, and I was genuinely like, are we going to go through this entire show, including episode 0? Are we going to go an entire season of Gundam without anyone dying? And then episode like the last 2 episodes, like obviously changed that
Bam, bam,
instantly,
bam.
and
Yep.
like we're more just like, yeah, we're very much like, okay, here is like real shit is happening now. Like you've had your fun, you've had your school, you've presented all of your themes, you've introduced your characters, you've presented what the businesses are, you've presented the politics, you presented what the general like cause of the conflict is going to be, and then we've set it up from here. Here's your turning point. Here's your, you know, your big switch moment. Here's your like here's the kind of stuff that happened in Zeta episode 1, like, but we're giving them to you now. Um, and I think honestly that's maybe the reason why I like Guel is because he reminds me of more of a traditional Gundam protagonist.
Yeah, like
Because
you can work more from Gwell than Soletta.
but that would also obviously the good thing here is that we like it is a benefit. It is nice to have a protagonist that's different to usual. And yeah, maybe the reason that I find Guel the most compelling character is just because he's the one that feels the most like a Gundam protagonist. Um, but he's in a different role, and I think him being in a different role is what makes him interesting. But yeah, the him killing the Guel killing his dad moment is absolutely a
Yeah, like it's a good moment
sorry
for.
if people didn't know we're spoiling shit, but I've said
Oh no, well they should know by now.
some
Like look at the title.
someone said they'd only seen up to episode 5, so I'm
Well,
sorry.
no, well that's their problem then.
Yeah, like to me, like that is such a thing that happens to the protagonist sort of vibe in like that's to me like that's the kind of thing that happened. Like again, that is it is flattery that it doesn't deserve for me to compare it to like I'm not sure if it's episode 1 or episode 2 of Zeta where he kills where his parents are killed in front of him. But it's that sort of moment where, and because it came out of nowhere, seemingly out of nowhere, like such a abrupt shift in tone from the rest of the show. That's why that moment worked so well for me. Um, and I think again, much like the rest of the things where I'm saying that I'm looking forward to where it goes, I think Guel has the potential to be a very very interesting character going forward if they build upon that. Um, because especially as like his whole point was that he was meant to be working up the ladder and taking and like being like the heir to his father's business,
And now he's
and
Bob.
now yeah, and now he's potentially the boss or whatever.
He's literally Bob the
I'm not
Builder.
sure. And it's
Yeah,
just so much
yeah,
so much
because
so well.
Gwell already has the building blocks to be a good character because that foundation is already laid out. Well, whereas Soletta, you're still kind of in at the beginning, despite
Yeah,
12 episodes happening. It's like, oh yeah,
yeah,
Soletta,
that's the
a
thing.
very a nervous wreck, has social anxiety. It's like sure I can 100% accept that, but how long until she kind of has to, get over that and basically be her own character before something happens, and then it becomes completely unjustified. Whereas Gwell already kind of had that progression, and then episode 12 happened, and then the switch came about, and that change is much more justified compared to what's happening to
Yeah.
Soletta right now.
Yeah, like Soletta is. If you take Soletta in episode 1 and Soletta in episode 10, they are the same character for the most part. Like there is very very little. Like if Soletta from episode 1 was placed in the team battle that happens in episode, I think it's episode 10 where they do the big team battle
Oh yeah, Shitty
with
Gray.
Shadiq and
Yeah,
the group. Yeah,
it was like
like
yeah,
if you
eight, 9.
it was thereabouts. Like it was towards that because episode 11 is when they go to space.
Yep.
Um, and when things get picked up on, I think that's the last because that's the last like big battle before things end. If
Oh,
you put
actually,
episode 1 Soletta in that battle, I don't think anything would be different. She hasn't learned anything new,
oh god, because
particularly.
actually,
I might
episode
be
11
giving enough
could
credit.
have been like a turning point for her because that's when Mjolnir becomes too busy to basically talk to Soletta, and Soletta like has that moment of doubt. It's like, am I really her friend, or am I just someone who she just strung along the way? And what do you call it? Mjolnir and Soletta have that quote unquote iconic exchange where they hug each other out and they go like, "Oh yeah, we're cool," and then nothing happens after.
Yeah, I mean, the episode 11 had clearly the best scene in the whole show, where Soletta's like, "Someone took my rice box. I'm gonna have a cry because someone took my rice box.
Well, like if they
Whoever I'm gonna
expanded
go
upon
ask is where my
that,
rice is."
yeah, if they expanded upon that, or
Yeah,
if that happened maybe an episode earlier, I think that would have been a great starting point for Soletta's development. But nothing happened after that. Like they made up. It's like, oh, everything is all back to normal now, essentially. And then
mm.
Soletta's like, kill someone and be like, "Hey, Miorine, what you doing?"
Hey, what the dad doing?
Do you think that
What do you
Dad's
think
gonna
about
be alive?
Mirror in general?
Hmm?
Probably. I feel like with my general rule or thing that I assume with this sort of thing is and if they were going to kill him, they probably would have killed him in that episode. Um, because
Maybe
if they
string
just
people
have him
along though.
like yeah, like I feel like if you wait like a few months to show the next season and then have him die at the next episode, it's I don't know, sort of
Unfair.
cheapens it slightly. Like it's I don't know. I mean depending on whether I think regardless he's going to be out of action from his position, and I think like him if he's like in a coma or something, and then Mirion has to deal with that could could be an interesting perspective. I don't know. Again,
Yeah.
I don't know how much nepotism is involved in company like company progression. I don't think it's literally a case of like he dies and then she gets the company. I'm not sure
Oh, that
if
would be
that's
such an interesting point to focus on. If like let's say Daddy Miorine dies, and then she by default becomes the owner, and then she would have to like navigate around corporate politics, and then she would have to handle Soletta, and she would have to
yeah.
wrangle him because Soletta's like a wild card essentially. That would be
I mean,
such an
sure, or
interesting
like
thing to explore, but again, 12 episodes, can you really handle that? And not to mention that
it would have
there's
to
a
like
shit ton of
that's the
other
sort of
characters.
thing. Yeah, that's the sort of thing where like that could be really interesting to focus on, but it would take quite a few episodes to make that pay off, and that's the sort of thing I feel like I would have liked for them to start on quicker, which is why I feel like this show could have gotten to the point of episode 12 like a few episodes earlier. Like you just had to present like the school. It maybe could like just have some shit happening. I think this is what I was talking to Garnt about this, and
Mm-hmm.
he brought up the point that he felt like the mecha battles, like the duels were in the show
Mm-hmm.
just because they needed an excuse to put mecha battles in the setup part of the story. Because if they didn't have those duels be a thing, then there would have been no reason to have mech fights in the series, and that's the only reason it's put them there, which I feel like I completely agree with.
Because prior Gundams, there's like the excuse of war, so you kind of need these machines. And yeah, on top of that, the Gund arm itself is a little bit shady for it to sort of develop from what was it, a medical company to somehow developing a mobile suit. Like that seems a bit of a stretch.
Yeah,
So it seems like
I mean,
they
at that
had like
point,
a
you're right.
bunch of
Like I just said,
concepts.
it's very.
Yeah, like it seems like it had a bunch
I
of
feel like that's
concepts, and then they just could not really own in on maybe a select few and running with it. It just seems like they have a lot of ideas and just meld it into one with no real clear vision at points.
I feel like what you were saying there though is sort of potentially going to be the point of it, and the payoff of it is that like yeah, like why did this company aiming to make pharmaceutical products make a fucking ridiculous war machine, and it's all links back to how fucking suspicious Soletta's mother is, and I think like it's very possible that like Soletta's mom is entirely just trying to be a warmonger and do these things, and that's just a front to it. So I think like that is potentially not an issue, but the general thing of like I obviously would have enjoyed this show less without the mecha fights, but I think if they did
But then
take
it would
out
not
that
be
aspect of
Gundam.
it, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Gundam, like we've had plenty of Gundam stories that don't have like so much. Like fucking War in the Pocket is incredible, and it's got like very minimal Gundam in it. Some of the best parts of 8th MS Team are like some of the character moments.
I think well
This
that's
is
a UC Gundam though. Like it already has an established universe, so they don't really have to hinge heavily on like the mecha, like a slew of other mecha to really
yeah.
have a crutch on. Whereas with like an AU series, you're starting fresh, so you kind of need like that. I don't want to say trope, but you kind of need like some familiar elements of it.
Yeah, and I think there are plenty of ways to introduce that outside of the duels, but I guess it does make sense that they, and again, and from at the end of the day, the bottom line is this show was created to sell model kits, and they need to put the model kits, they need to put the mechs in the show.
Mm.
And I obviously it feels very weird as massive mecha fan to be like, yeah, the mech fights were weird, like weirdly placed, because they kind of were. Like the whole duels didn't feel necessary.
Yeah, like you could replace the mech battles like with I don't know backgammon or something different or chess
Yeah, you
like
literally
Code
could. I
Geass.
mean,
Yeah,
obviously it's about the companies that make these things.
yeah, chess would be actually a better fit than duels because chess actually requires like you actually need to show off your smarts like more
I
blatantly.
feel like they obviously, actually, to some degree, the school setting itself was not necessary, right? Like
Yeah, no, like
the early
it's
like
supposed to be more
it being in a
accessible.
school doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I think in a couple of interviews, the reason why Witch from Mercury was structured that way was because well they wanted to get more younger people into it, hence the point of an AU series. But I think they found out that older people enjoyed IBO more than intended, so they had to like basically change course. That's what I've heard at least.
yeah,
So that's why I think they included the school element, the duels, how I guess pastel everything feels like in comparison to other AU Gundam shows, especially Iron
yeah. I
Blooded
mean,
Orphans.
visually, it's very like, I think when me and you first saw it revealed, and we saw the character designs, and we were just like, these two girls do not look like they're from a Gundam show. Like they look like they're from a slice of life, like
Slice of
some
life or something
descriptions.
like very stereotypical like sci-fi show, like a very generic show from like the 2010s, I would say. I think at one point we
Yeah,
pointed
the character
out, yeah,
designs aren't my favorite thing in the series, that's for sure.
yeah. I think we both pointed out one point that when we saw the PV, we thought Saletta looked like a Moe blob version of Emma from Promise Neverland.
Yeah, there's definitely comparisons to be made there.
Yeah. Well, Promise Neverland, maybe in terms of quality. Ayo. A shout out to season
Mecha
two.
design wise, though, I do like the show quite a lot. I think the aerial is sort of everything I want from a lead mech, a lead mobile suit at this point. In that it's like it's got that classic design. It looks very traditional Gundam, but it has enough of its sort of new modern elements to it.
Took a lot
That
of
make
inspiration from
it
the
a
G
winner for
Self,
me.
I would say.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah.
like obviously like G Self to me is potentially like like one of the best sort of modernizations of the RX-78 like classic design. In that, like, yeah, you take like something like the Strike is very much that, where it's very clean and it's very much this is the baseline that we build off of. The Exia was
Ah,
definitely
yeah, Exia.
very different, like obviously an incredible design, but it was a more non-traditional design because it had the giant sword, it had these other aspects to it. This is very traditional design. It's got like a lot of elements to it that sort of remind me of certain things, like I'm not sure if you've seen we talked about it before. Is it the Eclipse, the new Seed Gundam?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, I haven't seen it, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
yeah, I don't know. I don't. It's from. I haven't read the manga or anything, but like, it's got some elements that remind me of that.
Uh-huh.
It's sort of the angular nature of the body, but without the ridiculous extra spiky stuff. It's just a very good, clean design, and the way that they use the have the shield be the funnel system, it's fucking awesome. Like that's just like a really
Yeah,
cool
there's like a practical
way
use
to
for
do
the
it.
shield as well, like
It's
another
like I
use.
love like modular stuff. It's basically like it's sort of double O Quanta vibes, right? In
Yeah,
that it's like
yeah,
the
yeah.
shield is completely modular and it comes off either to be fully multi-purpose and then there's literally the awesome scene at the end where it all stacks on the end of the gun to make the super mega bang bang, and it's like yeah, this is great. Like
Oh yeah,
in
like
terms of like
they definitely took inspiration from Strike Freedom as well. Like when multiple parts of a gun combined together to create like one
yeah
giant
yeah
gun.
yeah
Yeah,
it's like for starters, it makes for amazing toys, right? Like it
yeah,
makes for to
like
be able to have that sort
totally.
of element of play value, and like take bits off, put them somewhere else. Makes like any merchandise of this thing really cool. Visually, it really fucking just nails it.
It feels like I
Again,
think
like
as more I guess AU series goes on, the designs especially they become a lot more friendlier. I guess for lack of a better term, like the designs are a lot more rounded, or if they're angular,
yeah,
like it's more like softened. I guess I don't know how to fully
yeah. It's
describe it.
very it's very clean.
Yeah, very clean,
Very
very friendly. It's very approachable. Like I wouldn't say something like
which
the Ksatria is being very approachable to like a normie.
as incredible as it looks. I
Yes,
think
as
again
much as we love the
it's
Ksatria.
it all goes back to the company image thing where I feel like they make their things like it does feel like it makes sense in world for them to look pretty and look like nice and clean and like modern technology, because it's like yeah, this is like here's the visual, like they literally did the fucking advert where it dances, right? And it's like
Oh
look at
yeah.
this thing, buy into our company, like support our company because look at this cool thing we make. uh what's the we do joke about it. Look how much it looks like the fucking Cornelia's
Oh yeah, Gwell. Yeah, Gwell suit.
it's the Delanza. It's like this. I'm not so hot on. It looks a bit like a pink. Like when you look at
It
like
literally
the
feels like an
image,
afterthought. I think that's the best way to put it. I was like, oh yeah, we need to make one
it's
more
fine.
mecha. And it's like, oh
I do
fuck.
like I do enjoy my short and stubby chubby mobile suits. Um,
You're a fan of Nagano though, which that in itself is a little bit surprising. Because Nagano is known for like very,
oh yeah,
uh,
this is so far beyond Nagano design. It's
yeah,
more like is it Kobayashi who you like?
yeah.
That's
Kobayashi can do like short and stubby, but also it can
does
do like
like
long and
massive
gangly.
wide
Yeah.
nonsense. So
Whereas
like
Nagano
this
is like
fine. Like it's
100% long and gangly.
so like the Lanza, like it doesn't offend me. Like like I don't think it's a bad, like it looks bad, but it is obviously just like this. It's not anything special. The
I like the Farak though, the the Gundam that Elan number 4 was piloting.
yeah
Yeah, I like
that
yeah the Farak is probably my second favorite, but that's not
yeah I
saying
love this
much.
thing because it's okay, let's talk about Nagano for a second. This thing's
Okay.
got high heels.
Yeah,
This thing's got some. We've got some 5-star feet on here.
it's a big
Yeah,
fan
this
of
is a
Double
very
Wears
what I
Prada.
like about this. It's got massive like double O vibes to me because it's got very because it's a bit more chunky than like the flags, but it's got that energy. It feels like that in the it's like it's very clearly a villain suit, but it feels like an elite rather than a grunt, and because it is. But it still feels it's still got a bit of that vibe where you're like a slightly less um aggressively designed version of this could be a grunt suit, but it looks like the next step up of that.
Well, it kind of
So
looks
I think
villainous as well. Like I guess the color
yeah,
scheme doesn't really help out, but
yeah, like you could make this thing like if you made this thing like blue and white, then it wouldn't look so evil. But very nice of that one. The Darrelvold, the red one that the Guel pilots after Cressalia's thing. This one's, I think it's got a lot of this. It's got a lot of similar design aspects to the Lanza, but it's definitely more interesting to look at because it's like a bit taller, still chunky. It's got little wing bladey bits that remind me of, again, this the Nagano stuff. It's got like
Oh yeah, this one.
it's got like tiny chibi cubule wings,
Yes, it does. Cubulate.
where it's like it's a they if you look at it from different angles, they are just shields. But like it's the angle where it looks like they arc over in that curvation. It's almost got a little bit of cubule in it.
Oh, you think he's gonna be like the second Char clone of the series? Because this version is red.
Like, because it's red.
Just because it's red. No, not because of any character traits. No, just because it's freaking red.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's all it needs. Then season two, he'll.
So would you say it's a Shasnable design?
Oh, I'd say so for sure.
Yeah.
The
Absolutely.
the Michaelis, which is what Shadiq pilots, I'm much less fond of. It's fine. It looks this to me looks a bit like an Iron Blooded Orphans design in sort of like the bottom half of the legs has like Grey's energy or it's,
Oh, okay. It's yeah, Ebikawa. Okay, so yeah, it's designed by Ebikawa. So he did a lot of the Iron Blooded Orphans and
aesthetic.
yeah, Ebikawa basically did Iron Blooded Orphans and he did a lot of Build Fighter stuff. I think that's where he got his start from actually. So yeah, a lot of Build Fighter stuff is moving on over to like the AU stuff.
Yeah, that's a. It does have that sort of energy of certain build fighter design. But yeah, it's like it's not again. It's not offensive. It just does nothing for me because it's so like clean and simple. Um, so it's fine. It's not up there as my as one of my was one of my favorites. It's quite forgettable, but it is nice, and I think it's fitting. Especially for Shadiq, it fits. It's sort of like the clean sort of again the night aesthetic of it. It's like a I don't know. It's like if you tried to draw like a Gyan in the double O style or something.
Oh God.
Uh,
I think it's like it has more of an age aesthetic. Because a lot of well yeah, I mentioned
yeah,
like Build
I
Fighters
can
as
see
well, but
that.
like yeah, a lot of the age influences sort of bled over. I guess that kind of makes sense because age at times literally felt like it was for kids.
Let me see what's this one. I do not even remember seeing this.
Some guy said, "How can you not like Gundam Double Love but don't like Abikawa's designs?" No, I do like Kanetake Abikawa's designs. It's not 100% of them for sure. Like he's the one designed Bear Guy.
I never said it was bad.
He designed Bear Guy, and if you know me to an extent, I absolutely hate Bear Guy.
I don't. I
Yeah.
like Ebikawa, but like there's obvious like some I much prefer some to others.
He's a little bit all over the place at times. Like I think he designed the Age one, if I recall correctly, and I think that's a wonderful design.
I adore the Age one. That's exactly the same sort of thing where it's like it is such an perfect update. Like the Age one, the Ashumi designed the O Gundam as well, which is like
Yeah, I wouldn't be
O Gundam.
surprised.
The O Gundam is fully just like here is a slight like it is as the O Gundam is the one that's the absolute closest to being just an RX-78, um, but just enough of the double O aesthetic to make it that. Always love. When the fuck are we getting a master grade O Gundam? That's what I want to know. And still haven't got a master grade G Self either, which is
Oh,
shocking.
Alan, someone super chatted me, and I forgot that this existed. Oh shoot. Ah, okay.
Well,
Someone donated five
well,
bucks.
oh
Oh,
shit, man.
oh,
By
sorry about that. Thoughts on the progression of 3D CG animation looking 2D, with the arguable peak being Arcane. Alan, you've seen Arcane, so I think you can provide a better answer.
I mean, Arcane is ridiculously good. Like Arcane is legitimately incredible. Visually, it's hard to compare it to anything, just because it's like there is nothing else that looks like that, and yeah, like it's hard to say that that's in the progression of CG because like obviously CG can look amazing. Like look at fucking like when I go back to if it's just CG in general, in animated stuff, like you can go back as far as fucking like Advent Children to see like yeah his really really cool action in CGI. But yeah, Arcane looks amazing, and on the mecha front, um, I think the best action in any mecha show ever is probably Akito the Exiled, and that's CG.
Yep.
Like there is basically no action sequences in mecha that top those. They're just that fucking good, and the reason they're that good is because of the CG. There is just like the way it uses just 3D space for fight for choreography is again
It's unrivaled.
um, and I think yeah there are so many things. So yeah, you look at that and look at Gundam Unicorn. Like the sequences of Unicorn, the Unicorn transforming would basically not be possible without CG, and they look amazing. It's just a thing where it depends what you're watching, and it depends how it's utilized as to how good it's going to be.
Yeah, well, my response is similar, and I think we'll always have a bias towards 2D animation just because that's basically what we started out with. But like as time goes on, 3D CG will and can and will get better as time goes on. So it's a matter of how much can we endure before we get to that point. Like we went from like what Spice and Wolf 3D CG horses in the background to like Gundam Hathaway, right? Gundam like a lot of the Gundam Hathaway scenes were done in 3D CG, but
Yeah,
we didn't have any many issues with that.
comparison is the remember the knights from Genkutsuo, like the big in that weird fucking mech fight that happens in the middle of Genkutsuo, and the weird dodgy CG knights that show up.
Have you seen Blue Submarine number 6?
No.
Okay, yeah, so that's like literally PS2 dimensions.
Yeah, there's obviously it's good when it's good, and but it can be very bad. We literally will see seasons of anime where one show has incredible CG and one show is X-arm. You know.
Like CG is getting better. It's more of, I guess we kind of don't see it. Like if you watch anime regularly, because it's so gradual. You'll really have to compare it between like years to really see a difference.
I think the main thing with like, unless it's not like because I almost said Kekai Sensen again. Like Kekai Senki, main like that show had 2D mechs and they looked fine. Like that show's like action is fine, and it's not CG. So that was like nice that it wasn't CG. And I feel like if that show did have CG mechs, it would have looked really bad just because it was already fairly like uninspiring, and then if you factor that in just like general bias against that kind of stuff, then it would have made me enjoy it even less than I did.
Yeah, and I think in general we're willing to be more charitable towards mecha being CG because there's a natural association. Like CG humans, like we're much more likely to pick that up and have issues with it because of that disassociation, like that uncanny valley, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Majestic Prince has great CG mecha in battles. That's because it's done by Studio Orange. Studio Orange also did Akito the Exiled. Think of any amazing CG anime. Hmm?
Are you sure you're thinking of the right show? What's Majestic Prince?
Studio Majestic Prince, or is it Buddy Complex? Am I thinking of something?
What is this?
Wait, Majestic Prince is the.
It's the one.
Is that
about the
is that the
character
Fujoshi
designs
one?
Yeah.
Okay, I might be thinking of Buddy Complex then. Yeah, because there's a.
Like, to a Sunrise.
Okay. No, it had
Complex
no. There was
shows
assistance.
in
No, Buddy Complex had assistance from Orange. I'm pretty sure it did.
Hmm.
Yeah, but anything Studio Orange does, please watch immediately. They're amazing. They did Akito the Exile. They did Hoseki no Kuni, so Land of the Lustrous, and what else? I think they also did Beastars, if my memory serves me correct.
Did I never actually watch Majestic Prince?
Oh, Orange did Majestic Prince. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Ayo.
Man, it aired in 2013, the first season as well, which is like when I was watching everything. That's very surprising.
That's like a dark time. That's like what? That's when you were watching like what, 25?
Why have I not watched this? I watched fucking everything.
Are you sure you haven't watched Majestic Prince? Because it seems like something you would watch regardless.
I've heard of it. I think it literally aired like in the same fucking season as Valvrave did.
I'm pretty sure you watched it, or maybe like you completely like forgot about it or something, because it all like blurred into one mess.
Hmm. I think for some reason I probably, obviously I'm not the what's his name, the character, the Seed character designer that we both hate.
Oh, Hisashi Hirai.
That's the guy.
Yeah. I feel like if you've seen Argavolan, you would watch Majestic Prince.
Yeah, I watched fucking Argvolan.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Like you would watch Argavolan, I feel like you would watch Majestic Prince just out of principle.
Yeah, it's a good pun. Yeah, I don't know why I did not watch that. And for some reason, when you said Majestic Prince, because I remembered that it was that character designer, in my head I was thinking.
Wait, Majestic Prince?
Day?
No, Majestic Prince wasn't Hisashi Hirai. I don't think so.
It is.
It is? Are you thinking of Fafnir?
No.
Okay, hang on a second. Am I messing it up with someone else? Like, or am I thinking of Utano Prince now or something?
What? That's a.
Oh shit! Oh, it is.
You could take one look at.
Oh god, yeah.
Very much.
Oh my god, it's so noticeable. His style, like, his character design seemed pretty current when Seed came out, but nowadays it just looks outdated.
Yeah, I've never been. And there's so many fucking because speaking of fucking Fafnir, I think I've watched. I went out of my way to watch, like the first season of that when like when it randomly was like a bunch of Fafnir sequels at one point.
Oh god.
Okay. Why is that here? Fafnir was an experience.
Are they still making Fafnir? Because I swear to god there was like a new Fafnir series that came out like within 2-3 years. Like who is buying Fafnir merchandise? I am genuinely curious.
It was a couple of years ago, right? It was that was one. I watched the first season. I couldn't, and I was like, that was so okay, but I'm not going. Oh, keep going. So just clicking through Mal to see when the most recent one of these ones. Because they keep making fucking like movies and shit. Yeah, the most recent one was 2021.
Oh god. Jesus Christ.
Right. For some reason, what my brain did when I saw Majestic Prince pop up was I was like, my brain thought there was like that show was Heroic Age, and I don't know why.
Heroic Age.
Because I was just like associating the hero designs, and then it's just some weird mechy thing from like 2007 that I watched ages ago and wasn't very good. Fuck it, maybe I'll watch Majestic Prince.
I am so sorry.
It's Majestic Prince 10-year anniversary in 2 months.
God. You've seen that photo.
10-year anniversary.
Have you seen the photo of
my YouTube channel in 2 weeks' time?
Oh shit, is it really? So you made your channel in 2013?
Yeah,
Hey,
my first video, my first Whittle anime review was
you can celebrate your 10-year anniversary with another anime review.
yeah, man. I'll what I'll do, right, is I'll just review everything I reviewed back then once a week, but re-review the same thing. Yeah, my first upload was February 24th, 2013. So I've got like 3 weeks until it's been 10 fucking years, which is insane. Which means it's been 10 years this year since we first met, which is quite nice.
Jesus Christ.
10 years of having to put
Thank you
up
for
with my
making me
fucking
feel
bullshit.
old. I got a couple of gray hairs from last year, so that's how fucking old I feel.
I've got plenty. Like, think you're yeah. I'm 32 this year.
Oh.
I'm getting there, man.
Did you hit that magical spot in your age where as soon as you turn 30, every bone in your body starts aching for no reason at all? It's like 29 years, 364 days, everything is all good. As soon as you hit 30, boom, your kneecaps explode.
I luckily haven't gotten to that point yet. I just get sleepy easier.
That's
I'm trying to find what is the name of it. The mechs with the crazy ladies with the big guns. I do not remember what they were called.
Gunslinger Girl?
No, the in sorry in G-Witch, the girls
Oh, the one was like a super fan of Soletta, right?
yeah. I'm trying to remember what the mechs are
Yeah.
called so I can have a look to remember.
Just call them like the cyber new types of the series, or at least that's
Yeah,
what they
they all
established
sound really
themselves as.
I mean, all the new types in this are cyber new types. There is like the gun thing was created, unless it's going to be revealed that like Soletta was born with it, and then they just took her DNA.
Actually, if she's a
Injected people
clone,
with it.
as I speculate, then would that override like all the bioethical, or not the bioethical, but like all the problems that people have when they're piloting a mecha? I guess.
No, I don't think so. I feel like if they were revealed that she was a clone, I think there would be other ethics that they would be questioning.
Well, no, not the ethics, but like the physical drawbacks. Like you would actually not die, for instance, because she's not like a natural human, I guess.
I don't think that would be. I feel like there would be much more controversy in the business of her being a clone than from her, but like her being a clone being what makes it so she can survive the stuff.
I mean, that doesn't hasn't stopped her mom though. To be fair.
No, her mom's a fucking nutter though.
Enough of another to lie and go like, hey, yo, you've been piloting a Gundam for 10 plus years now. Sorry.
So I think I saw you tweet that you said you weren't sure if you liked this more or less than Iron Blooded Orphans. How low does this rank currently in your grand list of guns? What you enjoy?
Actually, now that I think about it, as I get older, Seed kind of starts climbing up that rank. Uh, I know that's directly not in correlation with IBO and stuff, but God, I think as yeah, as I get older, I'm starting.
Closer to where I was when we used to talk about this stuff.
God damn. Yeah, I think I'm slowly starting to be more forgiving with Seed, which I didn't imagine myself happening to me in any sense of the
And you watched it
imagination.
a bunch of times as well. You
What's
did the
that?
fucking video on it. You watched it a bunch of times as well because you did that video on it.
Yeah, I think as long as like I can understand that it's a shit show and for what it is. Yeah, it's like junk food. It's not nutritious in any sense of the word. It's not anything about like just enjoy it. It's not anything compelling or any of that. It's just there. That, yeah, that's my opinion on Seed. Like it's just there. Like it doesn't offend me. It doesn't do anything. It's just it
That's an
exists.
improvement over what you used to think about it.
Hmm?
So that's an improvement over what you used to think about it.
Eh,
I think over the years in general, if so long as I find some entertainment in something, I don't really give a shit if I think it's good or not. Like I stopped thinking that way a long time ago. Um,
I think with
like there are
IB, yeah.
plenty of shows like okay, here's a good example, right? Um, what's it called? Bocce the Rock show
Okay.
from last season. It is really 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 good. It is genuinely really good. But for the most part, I don't like it very much. Like I know it's really good. Like
Ooh.
I'm enjoying it. I'm like, this is ridiculously high quality. This is like everything about this is peak. Like this is a very, very, very good show. Especially for people that want this kind of show. It's like potentially it's one of the best in its genre at this point, and it does so many good things. But I'm just like, I just not. This just isn't really for me. Like I don't find this that entertaining. Whereas something like, again, as I said, I rewatched fucking Guilty Crown whilst I was moving in, and I'm like, I fucking love this show. Like, I will always love this show, and I always find this show incredibly entertaining, and just absolutely adore it. Um, just because, like, I just find it it just makes me feel the enjoys, and it's like nowadays because I watch so much shit because I have to for work. Finding little bits and pieces of things that I genuinely find enjoyable is much more rare. And so far, Witch from Mercury is I will reiterate I am cautiously optimistic. I think it's
Cautiously.
too early on in the story. I'm hoping it's early on in the story. If this is literally the halfway point,
Yeah, like
I don't know what they're gonna do.
I think
I
despite
don't know
as
how they're going to
yeah, I think
balance it.
despite as my pessimistic feelings about it, I don't want it to do bad. Like like what's the benefit from that? Like all I get to say is haha I was right, but like in the end I get something that's not good to a franchise. Like I want it to succeed. And if it succeeds, which I don't think is gonna happen just based on the amount of episodes left. It's unfortunate, but if it does, or if it closes out like on a very positive note, I think that's a win-win for everybody. Like you get a good Gundam show that people can get into, and just get more people into the franchise in general. I think well that itself is the goal of all AU series in a nutshell, and
Hmm.
like I am aware of that. Like I'm not the target demographic for AU Gundam shows. Like I think as I get older, I especially start to really get invested more into the Universal Century stuff. But again, that's not me saying that AU stuff is inherently worse because of that. It's just that I'm not the target demographic for Sunrise because I'm already firmly like a fan of the franchise. Like even just like what like Iron Blooded Orphans is as many qualms as I have of it. It did get a lot of people into Gundam, and
Yeah,
there are a lot of shitty fans in Gundam, for sure, like any other fandom. But there are also plenty of good ones as well.
yeah.
And if Soletta and Witch from Mercury in general manage to do that, then by all means, it's a win-win for everybody.
My hope is that if it does go in the directions that episode 12 would suggest it may go, then it's going to be such a good. It's going to be just the perfect sort of gateway Gundam, gateway mecha show in that it because of how it starts, you know, because it starts in the way that it does with a setting that a lot of more like newer anime fans will enjoy and get into this sort of like lower stakes, simpler setup, and then transition into a more like heavy war focused, slightly darker
Yeah, balls to the wall.
narrative in the second half will then basically give them that sort of like if they then end that and then go like okay that was amazing, and then that will mean that from that point they will want to watch more things that are like the second half of the show, which is older Gundam shows. So and the show is doing ridiculously well. Like when I was in Japan like in November, like fucking hell, like they are you couldn't it's fucking
Oh
everywhere.
God, yeah.
Like it was like you couldn't go like
Like, I'm surprised at how
Posting
many
a poster
people are
on
watching
anywhere.
Witch from Mercury. Like, I'm genuinely surprised. Like,
Yeah.
gee,
So I
the,
mean,
the one thing I'm kind of confused about is
I'm not surprised because it's marketed so well, and
it's
it's
marketed
presented in a way
well
that is
in the
accessible to everyone.
countries that where Gundam is already popular. In the West, I would say not so much. It's a little bit debatable.
I don't know. I think just again because of the visual of it, the aesthetic of it, a lot of people it just looks like a nice show, you know? Like you look at the posters, you look at the things, and you're like, it's freely streamable, like it's easy to stream anywhere. It's like, yeah, okay, I'll watch that. Especially anyone who pays attention to like, people that talk about this stuff and how in like the videos that we've done, like me and Gunn have done, we've very made it clear to just be like, yo, like this is a gateway show. You can watch this. I assure you, if you have never seen Mechs before, if you've never seen Gundam before, you can watch this. It's an entirely original story. Please watch this. And I think like influence from places like that is going to get people to check it out. Um, and I think it's regardless of the fact that I do think that the first core is kind of slow, and I think the duels are not are kind of dumb. The end of the series leaves me with hope, and it's not bad. It's just it's good. Like it isn't a There's nothing about this that like made me outside of the Shark Tank episode that made me really roll my eyes or anything, and I wasn't bored. It was generally entertaining. It's obviously nowhere near. It's never like regardless of like how good it ends up being. It's never going to be one of my favorite Gundam shows. Like
No.
I am jaded and sort of biased enough at this point that like it takes a lot for something for like a Gundam series to come close to like being one of my favorite series. And Hathaway, mate, you're just not gonna top that with
Has to start with
anything.
an H
Like
and rhyme with Athaway.
like I still like I still can't get over how good Hathaway is.
Ah, God, we can.
I don't know.
Oh, God.
I
I
just
think
don't get
between the
it. I
both of
don't
us, we
know
can do
how it's
like
that good.
yeah multiple hours just talking about why Gundam Hathaway is amazing.
I could just like nonsensely gush about how fucking incredible everything in that film is, and there's two more, and they're those are the things that I'm really looking forward to. This
Oh
is
yeah.
like this is a little hors d'oeuvre on the road. This is y'all playing. This is playing the new Crisis Core, waiting for 16 to come out. This is that for me just waiting for Hathaway, and it's like I enjoy this, and I like that this is a thing. I like this is getting people into Gundam, but you know, exactly as this person's just said, it's not for me, even though it is to some degree. Like it's for me as a Gundam fan, but it is mostly for getting new people into the franchise, which I really hope it does because I really like Gundam, and I
Yeah,
want as many people to watch Gundam as possible.
we're like the happy extra, or you rather. You're like the happy extra. If a seasoned Gundam fan just happens to like it, more power to. Or that's a double win in their situation.
hmm And like, yeah, I will inevitably purchase the master grade aerial when it comes out. It's not announced or anything.
Oh
I've got
God,
that.
it's doing so well in Gunpla sales. Like
Yeah, like this.
every time like a model kit is like announced, like immediately sells out.
Um,
Have you been
yeah,
able to
it's
get your
this has
hands
been.
on any of the Gunpla?
I only buy I only buy master grades.
I only buy Master. God, look at this
It's like
elitist.
look when you get to a point where you've got like the disposable income and limited space, and you just like I only really get the things that are a bit nicer because I don't want to. If I build like a high grade, I'm like that was fun to build. I will put that in a drawer now because it doesn't actually look as cool as the other ones I have, and I've got enough of a pilot. I've bought like
You're still working through your backlog, right? Or have you
oh
finished?
yeah, I
Oh
have
my God.
no, I've got a decent backlog. I've got like I haven't still haven't
Yeah,
built
you don't
any
need to buy any
because
more
that's
at
not
that
good.
point.
That's actually those are high grades. I got the big box set of the Cassie and the Penelope.
Oh right, you went yeah you went to Japan and you basically went ham.
Mm. I didn't buy. Yeah, I bought. I didn't buy much Gunpla when I was over there. I bought. Well, I bought the 1/48 scale of the Gundam at the docks. The RX.
Yeah.
It's like RX F00. The RX 78 that's in
Make sure when you go back to
um,
Japan, get a selfie of yourself with the new, because I think the new is already finished now.
yeah, the news. I really fucking realized that was there
Yeah, the
when
news.
I
It's
fucking
in,
was
yeah,
talking
the
to
news
someone.
like in Yokohama or something.
The Yokohama is where the RX 78
Oh,
is,
okay.
which is easy to access from Tokyo. The new is in Fukuoka, which is in the complete, literally the absolute opposite end of the
Oh
country.
God,
So I'll
make a
be going there
pilgrimage.
to work in Tokyo, and I would need to fly to Fukuoka to go see it. It is the other end. I'm planning to do it next time I go because I need to obviously need to see it, and
Yeah, make sure you pray in front of it.
maybe no, I wouldn't. Or would I go to Shanghai and pray in front of the freedom that's there?
Absolutely, you should.
Because that's there. Yeah. All I bought the 1/48 scale RX 78 F00, and I bought one 5-star stories kit because they released a new Night of Gold, and I bought that, and I bought a new airbrush, and I bought a like paint and various other things. I mainly bought like the biggest things I bought were Digimon like figures. To be honest.
God.
I've got an Omnimon that's like almost 2 foot tall. it's
Oh
it's
my
quite
God.
ridiculous.
Did you get? Oh, what do you call it? Did you get tagged at the or not the TSA, but basically at security? Because I feel like a lot of your stuff would get flagged by the airport security team.
No, no, it's like yeah, I had I had all this. I had large bags, but it's like people coming back from Japan with lots of
Okay,
toys.
so they're preemptively aware. It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah, I mean,
degenerates.
it's like they're getting used to people coming back with loads of fucking
God damn.
souvenirs. It's not like I had a fucking suitcase full of dildos.
Because I got tagged, or I got approached by the TSA just because I bought like a bunch of coffee from LA, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna need you to open your bags. Like,
Oh yeah, the coffee, of course.
they're like,
People literally use
why?
coffee to smuggle drugs. Like that's because people use coffee to smuggle drugs. That's the entire reason. Because you had coffee.
Oh,
Because
God.
coffee covers up the scent of
Wait,
drugs.
actually?
Because it's a very strong. Yes, that is literally why you got
Oh,
stopped. It's because
okay.
coffee is used to smuggle drugs.
Jeez.
Like gunpla is not often used to smuggle drugs.
You never know.
Have you ever seen Beverly Hills Cop? Come on, banger movie.
Wait, the one with Eddie Murphy?
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe,
there's a whole bit.
maybe I
Obviously,
saw maybe I
I
saw it like
I'll cite my
like
sources here.
maybe I saw it when I was like
My
7 and then I forgot about
Yo,
it.
that film's amazing. That film's amazing, bro.
It's like that one movie where Eddie Murphy decided to be serious.
I mean, he's still his jovial self, but
But
yeah,
anyway,
surprise. Yeah, like regardless, you had a giant bag full of powder. So
yeah, and it's like a female TSA worker just be like, yeah, I'm gonna need you to open up this bag. So it's suspicious. I'm like, okay, sure. And I think the security officer had to do a double take because I was so unaware of this at the time. And I'm like, do you want some? It's like I could just
oh,
give you a
some
bag of coffee, and I think she was like taken aback. I think that's when she knew like I wasn't a drug smuggler of any sort, of any kind. After that, it's like,
do you wanna buy some of my big white coffee?
yeah, it's like yeah, you want some? She's like, I'd love to, but nah. I was like, okay. She's like, okay, you can go.
Hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, yeah. Like, do you have any more closing thoughts for Witch from Mercury before we call that a day to Mobile Pod
No,
2.0? That's
I think
never gonna happen again.
yeah, totally. I mean, maybe one day. You never know.
Mm.
I'm a busy boy these days, and as you may understand, it's usually I don't intend to spend my time doing the things that I do for a living. But
You're a grown up.
I know
Yeah.
I
Who knew
am.
grown ups
I'm an
being a grown
adult.
up meant having other
It's
priorities?
really, it's really weird, bro. It was just back in the day. It was just me in my bedroom with a dream, and then you get to you do a thing that's similar to the dream, and you're like, man, this is just fucking hard work, bro. Fucking Giguk making me do
Yep.
job in exchange for money. How dare he? What about you? Any other things that you think that you'd wanted to say?
Uh, no, it's more of a. I am very pessimistic about Whisper Mercury and where it goes from there. As
Mm.
both of us iterated previously, it's on very thin ice as to what it can accomplish because of the lack of time and time left in regards to what it wants to explain and what it wants to explore in that set amount of time. But uh, that's not to say that it's completely lost. It's just a matter of how efficient they can be in exploring those ideas, but at the same time, not open up a bag of worms of what could potentially happen because there's so many things that can go wrong. But we'll just have to see at the end of the day. And
Yeah,
I think
I'm honestly surprised that you've been as positive about it as you have. I'm not sure if it's my
I've been a lot meaner to it.
ability.
Well, in the previous room, I was a lot meaner to it.
I'm sure you were,
Yeah.
because I was like when I remember when you like, because I like you'd watched like the first half and I hadn't watched it yet, and then I finished it, and then you finished it and you were just like, I fucking hate this. This is the fucking worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think I was like texting you as I was watching it. I was like being really sardonic and very, very crass and just, yeah, just being very sarcastic about it. But
Wow. Will Whisper
I'll be nicer.
Yes, yes.
I'm nicer around other people, or I try to be cordial,
Like,
not to hurt
you
your
see this
feelings,
question. You see this
not to
question.
make you
Which
cry.
Mercury better than Victory? Because I think that I don't think it's possible for me to like this less than Victory. I think they could probably play like the Shark Tank episode on repeat for 20 episodes after this point, and that be the rest of the show, and I'd still like it more than Victory, to be honest.
Unless Soletta
Unless
turns
it
into
turns out.
Shakti.
No, that's the thing. What if Soletta is actually a Shakti clone, and we find that out, and that's the reveal?
Oh, that would be
Or
great.
Soletta's mum
That would
pulls
make
a
it one of my
pulls a
favorite
mask
AU
off.
series then.
Like Soletta's mum pulls a mask off, and it's Shakti, and she's like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go talk to the enemy, and I'm gonna see if we can be friends. I know they kidnapped me last time, but I want to go talk to them, and we'll be friends again. They kidnapped me again. That happens like 4 times, Alex. Unacceptable.
Alright, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. And yeah, I think next stream is gonna be just me. So hope you had a fun time listening to us discuss, debate, and see you guys next time.
Yeah, it's been nice. Maybe I will pop on again at some point if there's something